Hello Steelers, and welcome to a galaxy far, far away, where I'm going to be playing What a Cowboy, but what I've called What a Nerf Herder. This is my Star Wars version of it. This is only the second time I've tried this game. It's based very much on the What a Cowboy rules by Two Fat Lardies, but as soon as I read them and as soon as I saw they were coming out, I started thinking about what other games that you could play with What a Cowboy. And John Savage, who wrote it, has already done the same because he's already got What a Gangster and also Going Commando, which are his 1920s versions and also the modern versions of What a Cowboy. They are currently being play tested, so don't ask to see any of the rules, but I'm going to nick a couple of the rules from there. I'll talk about those in a bit. But John very, very kindly sent me over copies of those rules as a work in progress to have a look at, and I asked him if I'd be able to use some of them in this video, and he was more than happy to. So there's a couple of things I'm going to nick. I'll tell you about those when we get into the rules themselves. Some slight changes in the Moderns version, in that you don't track ammunition for any of the characters, but you can fire on fully auto if you want. And I went and I checked out Han Solo's DL-44 blaster, and apparently it fires something like 210 rounds per minute, so I'd reckon that's pretty much a full auto gun, isn't it? So I'm going to be using those rules in this particular scenario setup. Myself and my friend, we played this yesterday, but we played it very much as rules as written from What a Cowboy itself. So basically I don't want to change too much in it initially, but I'm just having a few thoughts as to what to do with a Star Wars version. I also want to have a look at doing the Judge Dredd version as well. I'm just trying to work out ammunition and things for Judge Dredd, but I think it would work equally well as any other game, and hopefully I will do a video of that at some point in the future. However, today is a Star Wars version. We are currently on Lardouine, and I'm going to be doing the scorched earth scenario, which is basically the rebels are attacking a shield generator over here. As Ian said, it's always a shield generator. There's plenty of shields across the galaxy and they all need protecting. So the Imperials have got a shield generator down here. The rebels are going to be attacking into it. I'll show you the forces, but basically the rebels are made up of Han, Leia, Chewie and a few rebels troopers as henchmen. And on the other side we've got General Veers, Lieutenant Darklighter and also 4 henchman groups of stormtroopers as well. So I thought that's probably the best way to do it. This hopefully should also show you how the henchmen work. Again, I'm not changing a massive amount from the original rules for this. I'm going to have a think about it as I play more of these games and just think about other bits and pieces. I mentioned it already, things like the Force rules. I'm kind of going towards, I've seen Jeremy Short has been doing the Chain of Command Star Wars version, which you've probably seen some of the videos I've made of that, but in that he's got Force points, so he's added that to it, and I'm thinking something along the same lines as this, so it's kind of like an ammo tracker for a Force character, and each time they use a Force skill it reduces their Force points, and they could probably build them up or something with back with wild cards or something like that. It's just, I'm just trying to mull some of these rules through in my head. You never know, they may see the light of day at some point, but who knows. But anyway, this should be fun. I mean, Star Wars is just a basic Western shootout anyway. Well, I mean, it's based on samurai movies, and samurai movies inspired a lot of the spaghetti westerns, so it's all circular. It's like poetry, it rhymes. So what we'll do is we'll get set up. I'll show you the table, I'll show you the forces, we'll talk about those in a little bit more detail. And as I say, it's a couple of the changes that I'm going to be using with the newer version of What a Cowboy, or well, I say newer, it's not even at this point, it's not even seen the light of day apart from a few play testers. So we'll talk about that, and we'll get on with the game and see where we go from there. So here's the table I'll set up. This is the deployment point here for the Imperials, so they're going to have a couple of units in the compound when it starts, and as I say, this is the building that the rebels are going to destroy. It's going to take 12 what's the word? I can't remember the word for it. Task points. That's it. To destroy it, to shut down those generators. The rebels are going to be coming on from over here. There's a bit of blocking terrain for them to deal with, to get through, blocking line of sight, so the trees are, you know, you can't see through them. Individual trees you can, but there's plenty of other bits and pieces here and there as well. So I'll just quickly show you the forces. So the rebel terrorists who are over here, these are led by Han. He is a legend, and I've also given him the lucky trait as well. So if he wants to, he can re-roll any set of dice. Let's have a look at his Desperado card. Also as a legend, he has 3 Bonanza tokens to start with. And as you can see, we don't track ammo. The way this works, I'll just explain this. The way it works is you have a rate of fire instead. And the rate of fire for blasters, or his DL44 blaster, is going to be 3. So, well, you know, you fire. Sorry, it's not a rate of fire; it's an auto. I'm getting confused between the 2 different sets of rules. You have either fire on as an individual shot, which means you can also aim on it as well, and you're taking time, but you still don't track your ammo because these blasters carry like hundreds of rounds anyway. However, you can then fire on auto, and then for every shot dice, you roll 3 dice. If you roll to hit as normal with that, but you're not allowed to aim, so you're basically just blasting away. However, if you roll more 1s than 6s, something happens. If you roll 1 6, then you are unloaded, so you have to reload with a reload dice in your next activation, or you know, use one of your loading dice that you've got. But all the shots hit. If you roll 2 1s, then you miss all the shots, and you are also unloaded. And then if you roll 3 1s, more than 6s, so that would be 3 1s, then you are completely jammed. And to clear a jam, you need to use 2 shooting dice, 2 reload dice. So that's kind of how it works. Nice and simple, very easy. So that's Han. That's what we're going to be using today. So his Desperado card is Duck You Sucker, throw a stick of dynamite at character within 12 inch, or in our Star Wars world this will be a thermal detonator, sorry, and then you just roll a d6, see what happens. Next up we've got Princess Leia. She is a gunslinger and she has eagle eyes, which means she can convert any dice into a spot dice. I thought that was a better skill for her, being quite vigilant and on the ball. She also has 2 Bonanza tokens, being a gunslinger as well. She's carrying a pistol, same as Han, so another blaster pistol over there. Her Desperado card is Thunder or Cannon Fire, it's all the same. Use 1 additional aim dice in the current activation, so useful for her. And then finally we've got Chewie. These are the heroes at least. He is a shootist, and I've given him tough as well, so that means that the first shock is so his first wound he takes in the game is actually just a shock. He has 1 Bonanza token. Also, you may notice as well, I've given him legend here in brawling, so when he gets into brawling he becomes a legend, so he will always trump everybody else who's on the table when it comes to fighting hand to hand. He is carrying a bowcaster, which is, I've classed this as a military rifle, which is basically heavy. It's got long range, 36 inch and 72 inch, but it also is, the first shock it causes is actually a wound because it is heavy caliber. I just thought that was a useful one for the bowcaster. And his card, he has My Mistake, 4 coffins. Reroll any set of shooting dice. And then finally we got the first henchman group of the game here. This is the Rebel Troopers. These are just henchmen. These are carrying blasters with a range of 12 and 24 inches, and you can see there's 3 men in these. When you lose action dice, if you lose 2 action dice permanently, you take a figure off and until they disappear, until they're gone, basically. Really nice and simple way of doing it. Yesterday was the first time we used henchmen, so I'm looking forward to using them again in this game, and it'll make a little bit more sense when I come over here and talk about the Imperial side. So starting up here, we've got General Veers, Maximilian Veers. He's he's a gunslinger, and I've also given him leader ability as well, which basically he reduces more shock. He's got 2 Bonanza tokens, and his card is My Mistake, 4 coffins. Reroll any set of shooting dice. He also carries a rapid fire blaster as well, blaster pistol, so that can fire quite fast. Then under him we've got Lieutenant Darklighter. He is a gunslinger. He's got Deadeye, so that means he can change any dice into into an aiming dice, and he has 2 Bonanza tokens. These two are both gunslingers. And then his Desperado card is I've got 6 more bullets in my gun, immediately reload any weapon. So that if he does get jammed, he can immediately just reload that. Sorry, not jammed, but if he's unloaded by rolling more 1s and 6s when he's firing on auto. So that's a reasonable card for him. Then over here we've got the 4 Stormtroopers. So these are each a group of 3 stormtroopers. So we've got 1, 2, 3 and 4. As you can see, these are henchmen. These are all carrying blasters, same as the rebel troopers. These have got a range of 12 and 24. I did think about the stormtrooper armour, making them a little bit harder to hit, but I don't want to get too granular just yet. And also, in the films, you know, blasters just go straight through their armour. So, to be honest, I don't know. Maybe their first wound could be a stun, or something like that, or a shock or something like that. That might be an easy way of getting around that. But then I'd also have to give the rebel troopers a bit of a leeway, I think, as well, just, you know, just to balance it out a little bit, I think. So it's, again, I'm playing this game just really to test these theories out and just see if these things work. At the moment, I'm not going to give the Stormtroopers any benefit for their defense dice, but they are, you know, maybe the Rebel Troopers can dodge in the open. Normally, henchmen can't. Rebel Troopers can dodge in the open. Stormtroopers' first wound is a shock instead. I mean, that, I don't know. Shall we go with that? I think that might be a good idea, actually. I think, there you go. We've solved that problem immediately. Yeah, Rebel Troopers can dodge. Stormtroopers get that save from their armour. There you go, nice and simple. There we go, working it out as we go on the hoof. Alright, what I'll do is, well, we'll just start the game, because I'll set up the first couple of units in the deployment area for the Imperials. Their deployment spot is going to be this building as well anyway, so we can have 2 units on the table immediately within 6 inches of that. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So, first of all, we've got Lieutenant Darklighter and also a henchman of, or a group of stormtroopers over here. I'm just going to keep them there, just up against that fence, and let's see who goes first this game. It is a 3 of spades, so that is actually number 3 stormtrooper group. So I'll roll their dice and see what they get. Right, so let's roll those stormtrooper numbers. Right, okay, so we've got a 1, a 1, a 3, a 1, a 1, a 2, 2 3s and a 6. If they are within 6 inches as henchmen of a character, then they can use more than 1 wild dice. Otherwise they are constricted to only using 1 wild dice at the moment. Currently they're just on their own. They have to use a 1 to get onto the table, so that's going to bring them on the table, and then they'll probably use their second 1 to do some more moving as well. But let's see what they do in their turn. So immediately, first things first, is they're going to use that 1, as I say, to get on the table. So we roll 2d6 to see how far they get on from the deployment points. 10 inches, that will bring them to about here. I want these up against this barrier if we can. Just put the marker down there so we know where they are. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to then spend that other 1 for them to also move up to the barrier. So let's do that. Probably could have just cut straight across actually from there to 10 inch. Yeah, I can actually. So we'll just get them in position, I think, up against that barrier. They've heard rebel spaceships in the system, so they're starting to be alert. So yeah, rather than using that other 1, I think that's all they're going to do. There's nothing else they can do really. Right, next up then is 3 of hearts. Okay, so that's Chewie, everybody's favourite walking carpet. Let's see what he does. I might try to keep him stood off actually, because he's got that long range rifle. Let's have a look. Okay, so he's got 2 6s, 2 2s, a 4 and a 5. That's quite useful actually, because he could probably do with some spotting dice here. So he's got to use 1 dice to come onto the table. Now he can use any other dice, convert it into a 1. But what I might do is just get him to have maybe turn it into a 6 into a 1, and then another 6 into a 2. But let's see where we're at. I'll tell you what. and he's going to need to spot, and I don't know how far away he's going to be when he spots. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change a 4 into a 1 and use that to bring him on. So then at least we know whereabouts on the table he's going to be. Right. So what I want to do with Chewie really is probably get him to the end of these trees here, because he would then be far enough away not to be shot at by the stormtroopers, but far in range for him to be shooting at them. So he can come on anywhere up to halfway down the table edge here, this corner. So I'm going to deploy him from about here and try to get him into these trees. We'll see how far we go. Maybe he might need to do another move. So look, 11 inches. Might have made it. Yes, bang, perfect actually. So that's exactly where he wants to be. So I'm going to put him there. Let me just double check. So stormtroopers are, well, they are just on the edge of their range, but they're going to be firing with -1, so it's not going to be a great shot for them anyway. So he can now we can have a look at the other dice that he's got. So we've already spent his 1, so I'm just going to put that away. I'll bring him on. So then we've got 2 2s, 6s, and a 5. So he's got a shoot dice in there. He's got 2 wild cards, and he's also got these 2. Has he got anything else? He can re-roll any shooting dice. That's his card if he wants to use it. So I want him to try to spot at least one of these henchmen. So we'll go for this one here. They're the closest. So we're 12 inches away. So it's going to cost him 1 spotting dice to spot to here, and I did say they are within 2 foot. So it's going to cost him a 2nd spotting dice to spot them behind the barrier. So that's going to cost him those 2 dice. So that's pretty good. So what he's going to do then is, now he's within his effective range of his weapon, 36 inch, his bowcaster, and it's that military rifle. And remember, it turns a first shock into a wound. So let's just see. Let's just have a think about this. I could give him 2 aims, turn those 2 into 2 3s, and that would then give him a +2 on that hit. So where's the 3? There's the 3. A +2 on 1 shot. Or he could just blast away, turn those into shooting dice, because they're 6s, and then have his rate of fire of 3 shots each turn. But then obviously that's going to potentially jam his gun. I'll tell you what, let's do that. Let's just blast away. You know, no guts, no glory. Right, so he's going to be hitting on just a normal roll actually, because they are. Yeah, I think that's all it's going to be. He's not aiming. Well, this is the question: does he aim and get that extra hit? No, it doesn't really matter. Not with henchmen. So let's just see, because he has got he's heavy caliber, so he can turn a shock into a wound anyway. So his first shot. So we're using that 5. 2 5s and a 2. So that is 2 shocks, and we said the first shock is a wound anyway. So they are now going to test if they can dodge, because they are actually behind cover. They can only dodge normally if they're behind cover. However, we also said that stormtroopers, their first wound is also a stun as well. Is also a shock as well. So that would convert to a shock, but then their stormtrooper armor would then reconvert it back down to a stun. So at least, so yeah, it's going to be 2 shock rather than a wound and a shock. So let's just roll our dice, see what we get. A 3, they haven't dodged, they needed a 5 or a 6, so they've taken 2 stuns straight away. So at least he's putting some fire down on them. And then he's then going to convert that into a 5, so another shooting dice. So this is going to be 3 dice once again. This time he has rolled more 1s and 6s. But he's not caused another stun. It's only 1 roll, so he's actually out of ammo. So he's done 2 firing. So what he's going to have to do then is convert that into a shooting dice to unjam. So he's now unjammed next turn. If he was jammed over the end of a turn, I'd put that dice in his ammo box just to remind me that he's jammed. Sorry, not jammed, out of ammo. He's out of ammo, but he's only rolled 1 1, so that means he does actually hit with the effect. So that is a 5. Once again, it becomes a 6. The first hit is a wound, is a stun. Sorry, the first stun is a wound, but this time round, because again it's that stormtrooper armor, they're just taking a shock. So he caused 3 shock at least. Next card up then is Two of Hearts. So this is Leah. Now I want Leah to be off actually going out and doing the thing that's supposed to be done. So I'm going to be sending her off around the side while I think Hannah and Chewie do some skullduggery in front of the stormtroopers, keep their heads down. Right, so she's got a 1 so she can get on the table, 2 6s, a 3 and 2 5s. Bit of a spread, but let's see how she gets on. Might do quite a lot of moving with Leah, I think. Okay, so I'm wanting Leah to come on somewhere over here on this back corner of the table. So let's just see, she can come on up to 24 inch on here. So I'm going to bring her on just here behind these trees. You probably can't see it, but I'll just put her there. So she's going to spend 1 movement dice, and she's going to try to get down round this back end here without being seen by the stormtroopers. So she's going to stop behind these trees if she can't be seen by them. So 6 inches will get her to there. That's kind of put her in the open. So I'm going to convert the other 2 move dice into 2 1s as well, the 6 and the 6 into 2 1s. So that's another 2 dice movement for her. Let's have a look. She's got 7 inch. And yes, that gets her right behind the trees, so she is now out of line of sight of those stormtroopers. She can't really do much else with the 3 and the 5 and the 5, so I'm just going to leave her at that, I think. Next card then is the 2 of Spades, so that's Stormtrooper Group 2. So let's see what they get. They've got 2 1s, 2 3s, a 5 and a 6, so that's going to get them on the table. Well, I think they're going to try to react to Leah, and they'll probably come around the other side of the buildings. So their first move is going to be coming out of the building, so let's see how far they get. That's going to spend 1 of their move dice, so that's 9 inches. And yeah, they can get to just the other side of the generator itself, so we'll put them here and trying to block off Leah's attack from this back end. Just stick them down, so 1, 2, 3 of them. Now they've got another move dice which they could spend if they wanted to bring them up a bit closer. They don't have any spot dice, that's the problem. Leah is way behind that those trees, so they can't actually see her. But what I might do is I might move them behind this cover. I think that's a good idea. So let's see if I can get behind the cover of this industrial thing. 6 inches, I think they'll make it. So yeah, they're hunkered down behind cover at least, so that gives them a chance of dodging, if nothing else. They potentially they could spot her from there. Let's have a little look. Whereabouts is she? There she is. They need a spot dice, so we can turn the 6 into a 2 to spot her. So that's she has been spotted. And then they've got, let's see, they've got 2 3s and a 5 left, so they could aim at her. They can actually, henchmen can only aim when they're within 6 inches of a character because they're directing their fire, so we can forget those aim dice straight away. They've got 1 shot. Let's blast her. So well, how far away is she? She's over 12 inches. She's over 12 inches, so it's a -1 to hit anyway. And once again, they're going to be using their full blast. -1, so basically they need 6s to hit, and remember those 1s count as jamming, out of ammo. 5 becomes a 4, that's the best hit, so that's nothing. 4 becomes a 3, so that's nothing as well, and then they've got a 1, so they are also out of ammo as well. So what I'll do is I'll put a token in there just to remind me that they are currently out of ammo, a dice into their ammo pool. So that means they are doing exactly what stormtroopers do in the films, aren't they? Shooting and missing. Alright, next card then is Ace of Spades. So this is the Stormtrooper Group 1. So they're the ones that are already at the barrier. They're on the table. Let's see what they've got though. They've got a 4, a 5, a 2, a 2, a 1 and a 6. Perhaps they could probably just try to spot Chewie. I think they're probably right on the very edge of their range, but we can at least try and spot him and maybe shoot at him, I think. So okay, they've got 2 2s. The one they don't really need, so we can just get rid of that because they don't want to move. 2 spots though. Chewie, as I say, is literally at, I think he's just on 23 inches or something. Yeah, just pretty much on, bang on. So they're going to need 1 spot dice to spot him over 12 inch, plus he's in cover as well, so that's going to be their 2 spot dice. So we've done that. Then they've got a 6, a 5 and a 4. They can only do as much shooting as there are henchmen in the group, so they can only fire 3 shots. They may as well. It's going to be a -1 to hit, but they may. He is tough, so he can ignore the first wound though. So let's go for it. I mean, they're stormtroopers after all. That was a 6, just not those. So we've got a 4, 5 and a 6. So they're going to use their 4 first up to fire. So let's see what they do with this. And again, they are blasting with this. They're not firing individually. You may as well, haven't you, really? So we've got a 1 and a 6. They haven't rolled more 1s and 6s. But they are firing at long range. So they've got a 5 and a 6. 5 becomes a 4 and a 6 becomes a stun, a 5. 6 becomes a 5. So that is one shock. I keep calling it stuns. It's not a shock. Shock on Chewie, but he can ignore any wound. He's tough, so he can ignore the first wound. But they haven't jammed, so they're going to fire again with a second blaster blast. So let's look, same again. 6 and a 5 again. So once again, that's a miss and a stun. Oh, a shock, sorry, shock, Alex, shock, it's not a stun. So, and then they're going to convert that 6 into a 5 as well for their final shot. This is the 3rd time they were able to fire, anyway. And this time they got 4 and 2 3s, so no hits. But they managed to cause 2 shock on Chewie, which is pretty good. Next card is 4 of spades, some more stormtroopers. I swear there are other cards in here. And let's see what they get for their activations. We've got 2 6s. These are not on the table yet. 2 6s, a 3, 2 4s and a 5. So we've got some aiming and shooting and a couple of wild dice. Alright, these guys are not on the table yet, so I'm going to turn one of their 6s into a 1. And they are then going to come onto the table. I'm going to try to get these round this corner here to try and cut off layers. So that is 8 inches for their first movement, so that will get them just to the other side of the barrier at least. And they're going to try and pincer attack on Leah if they can. And then what I'm going to do is, they can't spot her because I ain't got any spot dice, so I'm going to move them. I'm going to move them with a 6 and turn that into a 1. So this is their second move, and I'm just going to move them forward. Try to get them again to this bit of cover here, at least 6 inches. Maybe they've done it. Yes, they have. They've just got there. So these are also behind cover as well. So at least they're lining the lines, if nothing else. It's going to be quite a difficult push through, I think, for the rebels here. But let's see what the next turn brings. Next card then is 6 of spades. So that is that's Lieutenant Darklighter. So let's give them a roll, see what they get. They've got 3 moves, 3 1s, 2 6s and a 3. Now, as a character, if they wanted to, they could move and drag some of the henchmen with them. I don't think she wants to. She just wants to get behind that barrier, I think, and probably take a couple of shots at Chewie if she can. So Darklighter is over here in the compound. Chewie is over here in the woods. So she's going to use 1 move dice to move herself across. She is a shootist as well, so she can change a dice result. I'll re-roll that. It was cocked. So that's 8 inches. That's enough to get her to that barrier. That's all I wanted to do with her. So she's got that shootist skill, which allows her to change any one of her dice into another dice. She's only got the pistol. So let's have a look. I think what we're going to do is she's going to do some aiming, I think, and shooting. So she's going to use that 3 for an aim, turn that 6 into a 5, so that's an aim and a shoot, and then she'll probably turn that 1 also into a 3, and then that 6 into a shoot as well. Now, because she's shooting just a deliberate shot, she doesn't need to track her ammunition, but she's only shooting 1 shot with each one because she's aiming. So the first one, it's over 12 inches for her pistol length, so that is going to be a -1, but the aim gives her a +1, so it's a straight roll. Remember, Chewie is tough, so any wounds get converted into shock. Well, the first one anyway. 1 is a miss, but because she's taking a careful aim, she doesn't run out of ammunition because she's conserving her ammunition, so it doesn't count in this case. So the second shot, same again, it's a straight roll. A 5 is a shock on Chewie, so he's taken 3 shock at the moment. It's not good for him. Next card up then. There you go. There are red cards in here. So there you go. That's the 4 of hearts. That are the rebel troopers, the henchmen. I want to get these up with Leah, so hopefully they're going to have some movement dice. They've got 1, which is not what I wanted, but I've got a couple aim and shoot. But let's see how far they get, if they can go and help Leah at least. Okay, so they can get onto the table from around here, again just behind Leah, so they're using that 1 to get on. They've got aim dice, but they can't actually see anything, unfortunately for them, but they have moved 8 inches, so that brings them just behind Leah, so they are following on with her, and they are going to hopefully help to protect her as she does her attack on the generator itself. Okay, who activates next? And it is 5 of spades, so that is General Veers himself. Right, well he's still off table, so hopefully he'll get on table this turn. Okay, he's got a couple of 1s, 6, a 5 and 2 2s. Quite useful, so probably use those to try and spot Lear, I would have thought. Right, old Maximilian, I'm going to actually use all of his dice to get him up to this group of stormtroopers here, so we're going to use those two move dice. That'll turn it into 3 dice, so 2 for the first move, 1 for the move after that. So let's have a look. That's 10, 12 inches he's got of movement, so yeah, that will bring him up to next to those guys there. Then he has also got 2 spot dice, and he should be able to spot Leah from there. She's in cover, but she's over 12 inches, so yeah, so he needs those 2 spot dice to spot Leah, so he's going to use those up as well. And then he's got a 5 and a 6, so well, at that range he's not going to do much damage on her, so I'm going to turn that 6 into a 3. He can re-roll any set of shooting dice if he likes as well. However, before he does that, Leah is going to interrupt him with one of her bonanza tokens, so she's going to play that. So she's a gunslinger, so she has her current action dice -2, so she's currently on 6, so she'll take that down to 4. Let's see what she does. Okay, she's got 2 6s, a 3 and a 2, so that's a spot. What we're thinking there, yes, it's a spot and an aim and 2 6s. So does she shoot at Veers before he gets a blast at her? Has she got anything else? She's also got an additional aim dice as well if she card if she wants to use that to really bulk it up. It might be worthwhile doing that, you know, shooting at him twice, getting a good shot in at him. I think she's going to do that, so she's going to use the 3 and the 6, turn that into a 5. She's only going to be shooting 1 shot at him, so the range is, yeah, he's in the open. She only needs that spot dice to spot him anyway. I think, yeah, she can see him past that tree. So yeah, so she needed the spot dice to spot him, so she's done that. And then she's going to fire 1 shot at him first of all. So this is just a normal blast shot. 6 is a wound. I kept forgetting with Chewbacca to dodge, so he is going to dodge. So he needs a 5 or a 6 to dodge. 3, no, he doesn't dodge, so that is a wound on Veers. So that's one of his action dice lost permanently, and a shock dice as well, so take those off him. And then, as I say, I might chuck that. She's still got another 6, so what I might do then is use her card, Thunder or Cannon Fire, it's all the same, use an additional aim dice at the current activation, so we'll use that up and then turn that into a shot dice as well, so she'll shoot again at him. Get rid of that bonanza token as well. So this is again a normal roll. Let's see what happens. 6, another wound on Veers. Does he dodge it though? 5 or a 6 he does. No, he doesn't, but he also stumbles and he takes an additional shock for that as well. So he takes a wound and a shock, and also another wound and another shock as well. Wound is there, shock is there, so he's taken 2 wounds and 2 shock. He still has his turn left though, so he's still got the he's got his 3 and his 5, so that is an aim and a shoot, so he's going to do that. So let's see, at Leah, 4 is a miss, so no effect. Oh dear, she's giving him some right hammer. Right, well, it's the last card of the turn, and it's got to be the scruffy Nerf herder himself. There you go, Ace of Hearts. It is Han Solo. So let's see what he gets. Can he come and help his pal Chewie? So we've got 2 2s, a 4, a 5, and 2 6s there. So he's going to have to change something into a 1 to get him on the table at least, and then we'll see what happens from there on in. So I've got Han over here. He's in position. I want to get him up to this spot here, so we're going to turn one of these 2s into a 1, so that will be a first move dice. Let's see, 2d6, see how far he gets, see if we can get to it. 3 inches, not very far. He's obviously not tied his bootlaces today, so he's going to then spend another 1. He's a legend, so he can turn a couple of these dice into other stuff. Another 1 to move another d6 to see if he can get closer, this time 4 inches at least, so he's there. He's now currently 6 inches away. Do we spend another 1? How far away from those stormtroopers is he? He's 18 inches, so he'd need at least 2 spotting dice to see them currently, and he doesn't have them. But he can change another dice into a move dice, so I'm going to move him up again, another d6. I want to get him to behind his cover, 3 inches. Come on, Han, he's nearly there. So I'm going to have to change another 6 into another 1. God, this is the slowest advance ever, so let's see how far. 4 inches, right, he's up against it now. Okay, now he is currently just over 12 inches away from those stormtroopers, so he can't actually spot them, and he can't really do a great deal else, unfortunately. Well, I could turn that 6 into a 2 to spot, but he needs 2 spots because he's over 12 inches away, so that kind of ends Han's turn really. He can't do anything else this turn. So I've checked the ride or die numbers for everybody, and so far the Rebels have only got 2 from Chewie's shock, and the Imperials have currently got 2, 5, so that's a force morale of only 2 for them. So neither of them are going to do a ride or die test at the moment, but let's just check our next card. First card of the it is the Ace of Hearts, so it's straight back to Han. So he's straight in on it, so he's actually in a good position at this point. Let's see what his command dice get him though. So we've got a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 5, and 2 6s, so that's useful. And as I said before, he can actually change any of 2 of these into anything he wants as a legend. Okay, so first of all he's going to use that 2 and he's going to turn that 1 into a 2 to do a spot, and he's going to try to spot Lieutenant Darklighter, simply because if you can take out the commander, then the henchman gets a lot worse. So he's firing at just over 13 inch, I think it is, so yeah, 13 inches. So, and so that means it's going to be a -1 to hit, but he's going to aim and shoot with his first dice. Or does he add on extra aims? No, he'll go with an aim and shoot with that first dice. So it was a -1, becomes a normal shot. So he's looking for 5s and 6s. A 1 is no effect, so he'll do the same again, turn those 2 6s into a aim and a shoot as well for the second shot. And let's go. 5 is a shock. Does Lieutenant Darklighter dodge? 5 or 6, 4, 5, 6 they do. Yes, they do, but they are now pinned though, so relatively useful, I guess. Okay, next card up then is 3 of Hearts. It's Chewbacca. He's only got 4 action dice, so he's looking for 6s to be able to get some of those shock dice, and he's going to use them. He's got 2 6s, so I'm going to use those 2 6s immediately to get his shock back up. So he's back on full dice, but he's now got a 4 and a 5 left over, so that's their 2 shoot dice. He had already got those stormtroopers in aim, he'd spotted them, and he can fire at them again. So Chewie up in the hills over here, he's firing at these stormtroopers over here, if you remember. He's going to do 2 shots with 3 rates of fire, so let's have a look, see what happens. First one then is a 6, a 4 and a 3. The first shock is a wound. I think they've already been shocked by that, so they've taken their wound from that anyway, but they brought it right down because they were stormtrooper armor, if you remember, and that was the first hits. So he has wounded them, these stormtroopers here, so let's just see what if they dodge. They are behind cover, so they can dodge on a 5 or a 6. No, they haven't dodged, but they are also pinned because they rolled a once because they fumbled. So they are pinned as well. So not looking good for them. And a wound is a shock and what's he called? A shock and a permanent dice off, and that's number 3 stormtroopers. So yeah, they've already taken 2 shock. Ooh, they're down to 1 action dice. So he's going to fire again at the same ones to get rid of all those action dice. Can clear them off the table. Let's have a look. This time they can't dodge. Actually, no, he needs a second spot dice because they've dodged down behind that arm barrier. So he needs another spot dice to see them. So that's going to end his turn. He had a 5, didn't he? He could spend that though. He could definitely spend that on spotting them. So yeah, he's going to turn that into a 2 and just spot them instead. Okay, who's up next? It's 2 of hearts. It's Leia. So roll her dice. Excuse me. She's got 3 6s. So that's actually a random event. And a 3 and a 5. So let's see what the random event is. I'm just using the one out of the book. So it may not be applicable, but let's just see. Roll the d6, see what happens. 7 is damn horses, or damn Nerfs, or damn banthas. The character slips up in some bantha dung and falls. Place a pin token next to the character. It's got to be removed by playing a move dice before any other action dice are played. So, well, that's just going to take away her 6 because she's going to turn that into a move dice, so we've used that up to get rid of that pin. So Leia has already spent one of her 6s to turn it into, to get rid of that shock, that pin, sorry. So what she's going to do is she's going to turn this 6 into a 1, and then she's going to use that wild card to drag along the rebel troopers as well. So she's going to move, and she's going to move towards this bit of terrain here. First of all, that's where she's going to go. So this is a follow me rule, so 7 inches. She makes it, so she gets there, and then she can then basically drag these along and put them within 6 inches of her. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick these in the woods here. That's about 6 inches away, so they're in the woods now. So that isn't an activation for them. So they will, when their card comes up, they will get to activate and probably shoot at those stormtroopers. Then she's also got 2 3s and a 5. She'd already spotted Veers, so to be honest, let's just blast away at him. So she's going to take 2 aims and a shoot at him. So that's going to be, well, check the range actually. I don't know how far away she is from him now. She's actually 12 inch away, so she's in effective range. So it's a +2 with the 2 aims. So let's see how she does. +2 is 6, becomes a 7, so that is actually a critical wound on Veers. Unfortunately for him, that may have finished him off, you know. So he's immediately pinned, and then we roll again to see what happens to him. A 3 is a chest shot, so it's 1 permanent removed, 1 shock, sorry, and 2 permanent dice removed. He's only got 2 dice left actually, so that has knocked him out, that's taken him out, that's killed him. He should have really used his bonanza token then, I didn't think to, but there you go, that's Veers done. Veers is out. Right, next up then it's the Ace of Spades. Right, that's the number 1 stormtrooper group, so let's give their dice a little roll. They've got a 1 and 4, 5 and 6, 6, 6. So that is a random event. So let's see what that is. Rolling again. A 10 is friends or enemies. A henchman group will appear 12 inch away from the character. Use a direction 10.57. If cover is within 4 inch of that point, place them in that. Roll a d6. On a 1 to 3, they join your opponent's side. 4 to 6, they join your side. So what we'll do is what is to say, a henchman card is added to the game deck discard pile to be shuffled in for the next turn. So we're going to have to see if this is stormtroopers or rebels. So a 1 to 4, 1 to 3, the rebels. 4 to 6 is stormtroopers. 1 to 3 is another rebel henchman group. Okay, so I'll get those guys on the table and we'll see what happens with them. So I rolled for the direction, and they ended up directly behind the stormtroopers over here, so they're going to have to deal with this threat, I'm afraid. Everybody else is pinned, so what they're going to do is they're going to turn around and shoot at them. So they're going to use a 1, turn that 6 into a 1. They can turn more 6s, more than 1 6 though, because they're right next to their leader. They're kind of directing their fire. So they've got a 1 here already. So they're going to use that 1 to turn around. So that makes them no longer in cover, but they are now facing the right way at least. Because you have a 180 degree forward, and then they need to spot over that barrier. They're just a 12 inch, so they can just spot over the barrier with 1, so they're going to spend that. So that's 2 gone. And then they have a 4, 4, 5 and a 3. They can only aim if they're within 6 inch of a character. Well, they are, so I'm going to turn that into an aim dice and shoot first of all, just 1 shot first of all. So this is going to be a +1 to hit, 2, 3, no effect, and then they're going to use their next shot to fire a burst, and then they'll probably do the same again with the next one. So let's just see what happens with this. This time it is a 3, 4 and a 2, no 1s more than 6s, so that's all misses anyway. And then their last shot is going to be the same again, firing again, and this time it is they've got 1 more 6, 1 more 1 than 6, so they are jammed, so they're going to need to unjam their gun next turn. Not jam, sorry, they're out of ammo, so they're going to need to reload their guns next turn. Next up, it is the 3 of spades. Okay, so this is the number 3 Stormtrooper henchman. These are currently pinned and they've only got 1 dice, action dice. They've got 4 shock and 1 permanent. So let's roll to see if they do anything. 6, they can recover 1 shock. Oh well, actually they are pinned, so they're going to have to turn that 6 into a 1 anyway and move dice to get rid of the pin. So I'll just do that off camera, there's no point doing it on camera. Next card then is 5, that is Veers. He's been taken out, so we'll get rid of his card. Then the next one then is the 4 of spades, so this is Stormtrooper group number 4. So let's see what their actions are. So they have got a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5 and a 6. A little bit of everything. That's pretty good for them. They are facing those rebel troopers and Leia, so let's see what they do. So that's these stormtroopers here. Before they do anything, Leia is going to bonanza them. So she is a gunslinger, so she will be rolling 4d6, so it's a normal action dice -2, so she's got 4. Let's see what she can do. Hopefully she might be able to give them some umpty. She's got 3 aims and a 6. She hasn't actually spotted them, I don't think. They are behind cover and they're less than 12 inch away, so she'd need a spot dice. That's not great, but she is a gunslinger, so she can change one of these dice into something else. So what she's going to do is going to use that 6 into a 2 so she can spot them. So they've been spotted, and then she's going to turn a 3 into a 4, so that will then give, or a 5, either or. So then she's going to have a single aim, a double aim and a shot, so that's going to be a +2. She's close range anyway, so it's just a straight +2 on these. A 1 becomes a 3, so that's no effect. So she's kind of blown her bonanza there, unfortunately for her, but it's worth a try. So now it's the Stormtroopers' turn. So they've got a 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and a 6. They've got 1 of everything, and I think they're going to shoot at Leia, actually. I think they are. So 2, they've spotted her. I don't think they can't aim because they're not near a character, but they can change one of their dice into another dice. So they're going to have 3 full shots at her, I think, and these are going to be full blasts. So these are hitting her on just on a normal dice roll. There's no pluses or minuses. So look, first shots, a 6 and a 2 and a 3. So that is a hit, which is a wound. Does she dodge it? So look, 5 or a 6, she does. 2, no she doesn't, so she takes a wound, so that is a shock and a wound. And their second shot, let's have a look, see what we do with this one. 1 more 6 than one more 1 than 6. They got 1 and no 6s, so they are out of ammunition, so they're going to have to use that 3rd activation, and anything else that hits would have hit, but they haven't. 2 and a 3. Anything else they want to change it back into a they're going to use that last shot dice to reload. So they are loaded again, but they can't fire again for this turn. Next up, it is the Rebel Troopers. So it's the 4 of Hearts. This is the original ones who were on. So let's just have a look, see what they've got. They've got a 1, a 2, 3 4s, 2 4s and 2 5s. So some spotting and some shooting, which is perfect actually, because they can spot those stormtroopers and blast away at them. So they're going to use that 2 to spot, and then they're going to just fire with 3 shots, but they're going to be doing rapid fire at these stormtroopers. So it's just straight dice rolls. Let's have a look. We've got a 6 and a 4 and a 1. They haven't got more 1s and 6s, so they're not jammed. But that has caused a wound on the Stormtrooper group, and that was Stormtrooper group 4. So that is 1 wound off and 1 shock for them. Building up that shock slowly but steadily. And then their second shot is 2 5s, so that's 2 shock. Sorry, let me check if those Stormtroopers dodge first of all. The first one, yes, they did dodge, but they are pinned, so they weren't wounded and shocked. However, they have now just caused 2 shock on them, and they can't dodge for that. So that's just sorted that out. And then their final shots, and again the Stormtroopers can't dodge on this because they are currently pinned. They've run out of ammunition. They've got 2 1s. 2 1s means that none of the shots actually hit, even though that 5 would have done, and they are also out of ammunition. So again, I'll just mark that with a dice in the ammo box. Okay, we're getting close to the end of the turn. We've got 6 of spades, and that's Lieutenant Darklighter. So they are currently pinned, so they're going to need a 1 to get rid of a pin. So there's a 1, so at least they've got rid of a pin. They can change one of these dice into something else if they want. However, before they do anything, Han is going to interrupt with a Bonanza token. So he's still got 3, hasn't used any of this turn. So he is going to interrupt. He currently has 6 dice. He's a legend, so he can interrupt with 5 dice. So let's just see what he does with these. So he's got a 6, and he has spotted Lieutenant Darklighter as well. So we've got 2 2s, a 3, an aim, and a 4 is a shoot. He's a legend. He can change any of these dice into whatever he wants. So let's just work our way through. First of all, he's going to do an aim shot at Lieutenant first of all. So that's going to be a +1. So I think he's less than 12 inch away at this point. No, it's just over. So that's just going to be a normal straight roll with because of the -1 to hit. Because of the range, and then +1 because of the aim. A 2 is no effect, so that's done that. So then he's going to turn these 2 2s into 2 aims as well, I think. So then, and then the 6 will become a 4, so that's a shoot. So 2 aims and a shoot. So it's a +2, but -1 because of the range. So that's going to be a what we're looking at. Yeah, basically +1. 6 is a 7. Do they dodge? Yes, they've dodged, so they're going to have to spend another movement dice to get rid of that dodge. Well, get rid of that pin, but at least it's kept them down and stopped their actions, if nothing else. So then we've got a 1, a 2, and a 4. So they can spot Han as using the 2 and the 4. They can change one of these dice into one number they want, so they're going to turn that 2 into a 3 to an aim, and then a shoot with the 5, so it's going to be a straight roll because of the range. So look, the 2 is a miss, so nothing else happened. Final card for this turn, second turn, is the 2 of spades. So this is Stormtrooper Group 2. These are currently jammed, not jammed, sorry, out of ammunition. So first ammunition is going to have to spend on refilling their guns. So that's the 5 there. They can't change anything. They've only got 2 1s and 3 3s, so they really can't do anything this turn. That ends their turn. Okay, it's the end of the turn, and I'm just doing their shock pool, their ride or die number at this point. So the Imperials started with, I think it was 13, which halved is 6 for their ride or die number. Let me just double check. So it was 4 for Veers, 4 for Darklighter, so that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in fact. So 6 for their ride or die number, because it's half of what their force morale is. We then add up how much damage they've taken in the turn. So for Veers, that was 4 points for losing him completely. Then we also add up how much shock there is across everybody else. So 4 for every 2 points of shock, it is another number on that ride or die. So Veers is 4, 5, 6, 7, so they are over their ride or die number, so they roll 3d6 for Doglighter because he's a gunslinger, and they need a 6 to continue fighting on, so we'll get that rolled. I've just checked the rebels, they haven't got any shock. No, they've got 1 shock, so they've got nothing, and they've lost nobody so far. So the Imperials roll 3d6, they're going to need a 6 on any one of these to continue fighting. Let's have a look. 2, 2 and a 1. No, their force morale has collapsed and they run for the hills, or in Star Wars parlance, run for Tatooine. So this is the table at the end of the game. So we got Han moving in here, and we got Chewie sitting over there blasting away with his rifle, and then meanwhile we got Leia and also that rebel group coming in as well from the top. Meanwhile, we had these guys who turned up, the rebels who just appeared. They'd obviously done some kind of landing just off the table and decided to appear at the back end, and I think that's probably cinematically that you know, the Imperials now completely surrounded by this. We got these ones here fighting away in the centre. They didn't lose any figures actually, and Lieutenant Darklighter was putting up a relatively valiant defence, I guess. Meanwhile over here, this is where it all went wrong, isn't it? So Veers was killed, along with some damage on these stormtroopers as well up here. So yes, the rebels definitely won. They didn't blow up the shield generator, but the Imperials would have cleared off, so they'll have gone and done it afterwards. Cracking little game that. I hope you enjoyed it. Something slightly different, just to show you how versatile the What a Cowboy rules can be. As I say, I will have made loads of mistakes. I forgot to dodge. I always do. It's one of the things that I just keep forgetting. I really need to get it set in my head, but I always forget to do that. But yeah, I mean, overall I think, you know, most things are right, and it's about the game and the narrative worked out, I think. This is something I'm going to have a sit down and real think about, and as I say, I wanted to put Force stuff in here as well, so that'll be interesting to have people like Luke Skywalker. I don't know if I made these all a little bit too strong, maybe having a legend as Han Solo. He really does shift things, but in our playtest yesterday before this game, Han really carved his way through pretty much everybody, whereas in this one he was a little bit more slow, and we were just trying to talk about balance of the game. I mean, if we did it on actual force morale points, the rebels I think had 1 point more than the Imperials, because the Imperials had 12, the rebels had 13, I think. Yeah, so it was 6, 10, 12, 13 in total against that Imperial. So it was a relatively balanced in the way in points way. It just went badly for the Imperials. Perhaps would it have been better to have another character for the Imperials? I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments if you think there's a way of slightly making this, I don't know, either a bit more balanced or less balanced, or was it about right? I think if I played this again, obviously I'd do something different, maybe keep Veers in the compound, but then obviously you're losing the ability of doing stuff with the henchmen a little bit more. But I think it was also just a good run of cards and luck for the rebels as well. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, as I say, let me know in the comments. This is something I will come back to. I'm going to be looking at doing something Judge Dredd-like as well, now that I have those modern cards, so the modern rules, so that's something else to look out for at some point in the future. And I will see you in the next Storm of Steel video.